Hello. For those of you who are joining me virtually this afternoon, welcome to Heriot-Watt Malaysia campus. I'm delighted to be able to talk to you about studying psychology and the careers that can then follow from that. I'm head of department here on the Malaysia campus, head of psychology, and my name is Professor Deborah Hall, and I'm Professor of Positive Psychology. I've been a psychologist in the UK and Malaysia over the past 30 years, and let me share my passion for the subject with you today. So the word psychology comes from Greek words. Psyche, meaning life, and logos, meaning explanation. So it's the study or the explanation of life. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, behaviours. It's a very popular topic for students, becoming much more popular in the media, and it's become part of our everyday lives. Before I talk about the discipline itself, I'd like to just spend a few moments explaining a little bit about Heriot-Watt University, and also thinking a little bit about what is unique about Heriot-Watt University Malaysia and the course in psychology that we offer. Heriot-Watt University is proud to be a Scottish university based in the capital city of Scotland, Edinburgh. We are celebrating our 200 years anniversary this year. We were founded in 1821. And maybe you didn't know that Heriot-Watt University was actually the world's first mechanics engineering institute. So it's got a very rich heritage that it's very proud of, and an established reputation as an excellent teaching university and also a research-led university. It's been at the forefront of innovation and technological change, and we're pushing that forward for the next 200 years in being pioneering and innovative in education as well. As you can see from this picture, you're not here on campus today, but we've got a fantastic vista over the lake of Putrajaya. We came here in 2012, and we launched our first batch of programs in 2013. We opened our campus in September 2014 officially, and currently we have just over 2,000 students and just over 200 staff. But we do have capacity to grow and to take on more students. And it's been heartwarming to see that our psychology program over the years has been steadily growing as more students discover our program and word gets around about the quality of the psychology program that we teach. So that's a little bit about our beautiful campus. But we're not just based here in Malaysia. Heriot-Watt is a global university. And globally, we have 3 campuses. Campuses in Scotland, not just in Edinburgh, the capital city, but also campuses in various locations across Edinburgh, although psychology is focused on the Edinburgh campus. We've got a new campus in Dubai, and in fact our new facilities in Dubai have just opened, and we're looking forward to welcoming a new cohort of psychology students and returning psychology students back into those fantastic facilities on the new Dubai campus. And of course the Asian hub here in Malaysia. So we're a global university. Well, what does that mean? One of the advantages of being a global university is this, our Go Global scheme. And because all of the 3 campuses teach the same psychology program. We offer the same curriculum. We teach that curriculum at the same time. And we teach it as a global teaching team. So that means, as a student, it doesn't matter if you're based in Malaysia, in Dubai, or in Scotland. You have a very similar experience, although the lecturers that you'll interact with will be different depending on the local context. The Go Global scheme that we offer, when people can travel across international borders, gives you an option of continuing your studies in one of the other campuses. So you can choose to do a semester or a year in Dubai or Scotland or both. You have complete flexibility to choose how to configure your psychology program across all of the 3 campuses. We just ask for the Malaysia students that register here that you complete your first year with us here in Malaysia before you then decide to do any travelling. And it doesn't matter if you decide to come back to us or to complete your degree at one of our other campuses. That's the real beauty of this Go Global scheme. And what a better way, there's no better way of learning about how to be a global citizen, immersing yourself in another country's culture and environment, whilst being in that supportive, nurturing environment of a university. So I think we're quite unique in having this flexible Go Global scheme. Some other details of that scheme are shown on the slide here. So campus transfers are guaranteed. That's not the case in some of the other British universities based here in Malaysia. They offer transfers, but those transfers are not always guaranteed. We guarantee those transfers. If you stay here a year, when you transfer, you're eligible for a 20% fee waiver to study at those other campuses as an international student. And as I said, you can study for as little as 1 semester or more than that. That's completely up to you. And we're hoping or anticipating offering our Go Global scheme from our September intake, subject to international travel restrictions. Obviously, we've been in some form of lockdown since last March. So how have we responded to that, and how will we respond so that we're ready to cope with whatever the situation is? Because we're we have lots of uncertainty about what the future will hold. Well, Heriot-Watt has responded to that with what's called responsive blended learning. And as in many other higher education institutions, we've been combining some live streamed lectures with some recorded lectures with some tutorials. And now that in Malaysia things are opening up, we will be able to supplement that from September with some face-to-face teaching, particularly small group teaching, where we can maintain any government SOPs and maintain safe distancing between our students. Our priority is always to keep our students safe, but we understand that the learning is enhanced if you have some face-to-face interaction. So we're ready to respond to whatever the situation by having some more face-to-face learning, but we also can readily take all of those experiences to the virtual environment. And that's what we've been doing for the past year or so during MCO and CMCO and RMCO here in Malaysia. One of the advantages from a global university perspective of moving to the online is that our Malaysian students can now benefit not just from being taught by Malaysian staff, but also by being taught by some of the other teaching team across our Dubai or our Scottish campus. If you remember, I said that it's the same curriculum offered at the same time. So that means that you can benefit as a student from having a lecture by a topic expert, even if that expert is based in the UK or in the United Arab Emirates. So it enables us to really deliver as a global teaching team. And although we're discussing what the future might hold, I think some of these benefits of enabling our students to access the experts in particular topics within psychology, whether they're in Malaysia, Dubai or Edinburgh, we will continue that global teaching delivery, whatever happens, as the country relaxes and moves back into a more normal situation. So what we can certainly guarantee is that you, as a student with us, you will have minimal disruption to your learning journey. We've successfully delivered our teaching online for a year. We're ready to do that into the future. We've moved well-being support and other emotional and mental health support online, and it's a very dynamic situation. We're ready to change rapidly to whatever the change in circumstances. Now, I'm aware that a lot of other universities here in Malaysia offer psychology as well as other disciplines. So I'd like to just try and flag up to you as students and parents what you get at Heriot-Watt that you don't get with some of the other universities, our competitors. We are focused and we're very proud of delivering a holistic education. We focus on positive education, and what I mean by that is that we don't just teach you to be an expert in psychology. We help you develop as a young person, as an individual, and we take that responsibility extremely seriously. We strongly believe that a sense of purpose in life is really essential to achieving a positive impact on the world, and that's what we all hope to achieve. That's something that gives us life satisfaction. It's something that is very well known. As a positive psychologist, there's a lot of research evidence to show that achieving a positive impact helps maintain a sense of positive well-being, as well as giving you that satisfaction of giving back more. So we help students identify what their individual purpose is in life, what do they feel is motivating them, what are their life goals, what would they like to achieve, and we help you as a student mobilize that purpose into impact. And we do that not just through teaching you academic skills or teaching you professional skills as a psychologist, but we also have dedicated programs to help nurture your well-being, to help nurture your resilience, and to develop those skills that are needed to cope with any setbacks in life and to overcome any adversities. We also have programs and activities that enable you to do a little bit of self-reflection, to learn a little bit more about who you are, and to self-reflect on what your character strengths are. What are you really good at? These are some of the ingredients that help determine what kind of job you might want to do and what kind of job might give you some sense of satisfaction and build on those strengths that you have. We also do some self-reflection about what are your core values. What do you believe in? What do you hold to be true? Is it family? Is it relationships? Is it ethics? Is it a sense of curiosity, an intellectual journey? All of these things are important for making you as an individual unique. And they can help develop you as a person. Finally, I just talk about soft skills. There's a lot of talk in the media in Malaysia at the moment from employers. They talk about soft skills, they talk about transferable skills. It means the same thing. It's those things that employers are really looking for over and above the discipline-specific knowledge that you have. It's about being a good communicator. It's about being a good team player. It's about being an effective leader. It's about being punctual. It's about governance, understanding governance. It's all of those extra things that make our graduates extremely employable and extremely attractive to employers. And we purposefully develop all of those skills while you're here with us at Heriot-Watt. So how do we do that? Well, we have a number of different activities, and I'll just talk about the Empower programme because this is one of the cornerstones of our positive education here at the university. It's a sort of guided series of programmes starting at what level, which gives you a guided sort of journey of discovery to know and understand yourself so that you can lead yourself forward. The what level is compulsory for all of our first year students. And we take you through a programme of these guided activities, self-discovery, and at the end there are some group activities to undertake a community service project that enables you to put some of those skills into practice. So here are some of the pillars of the Empower programme. We try and promote global citizenship and impact. We develop your resilience and emotional intelligence, your people skills, your innovative and entrepreneurial skills, decision making and critical thinking, and things that will help your employability, CV writing, understanding about networking with industry, those people who might potentially be your future employers. And so the programme enables you to gather points as you achieve in all of these different domains. And in future years, through the kilowatt, megawatt and gigawatt level, you have the option. It's not mandatory like the watt level, but you have the option, and we encourage you to pursue more, to stretch yourself, to move yourself out of your comfort zone, to challenge yourself, but in a supportive environment. And at the end of it, you'll have so much to say about your experience at Heriot-Watt as a graduate student. It's not just about going to lectures and learning about your subject. It's all of the extra things that you've done, all of the extra activities. We offer Duke of Edinburgh's award scheme. We encourage our students to do more community service, to support one another, to run support activities for one another, and to really help you develop all of these life skills. Here's just one example. So yesterday we had our Empower Award ceremony to celebrate all of those first years who've graduated from the What Level Empower programme in their first year. And I have to say it's remarkable because they've had to do this all online through a virtual programme. And one of our student groups chose to raise some funding for a charity on the east coast of Malaysia that works with gathering turtle eggs, hatching baby turtles and releasing them out in the wild. And they actually had a target of 2,000 ringgits, I think, and they exceeded that target by doing lots of publicity and having a website that raised some money. They did remarkably well. This is just one of many, many examples of all the fantastic work that our current first years are doing. So that was a little bit about Heriot-Watt as a general university, and those are some of the activities that all of our students can participate in. So what about psychology in particular? So, as I said, psychology is about the study of the human mind and behaviour, and it's a scientific subject. It's grounded in science. With a degree in psychology, you can become a professional psychologist. I'm a professional psychologist, I'm an academic, I'm a researcher, and I spent all my life working in psychology. But I realised that not all of our psychology students have a burning passion to be a psychologist for the rest of their life. And what I want to impress on you is that a degree in psychology opens up so many more doors than just being a psychologist as a career. You can do that, but you can be a scientist, you can be a researcher, you can be a therapist working in healthcare, or a clinician, or, as we'll see later in my talk, working in business. It's a very diverse discipline, and there are almost nearly boundless applications in everyday life. That was a quote taken from the American Psychological Association. Here in Malaysia, we don't yet have professional recognition for professional psychologists, but the ground is moving. And I'm sure that there will be one day. The Malaysia Psychological Association is lobbying very hard to professionalise the field and for the government to recognise psychology as a professional discipline. And as of 3 years ago, there were about 700 psychologists working in Malaysia, and that was excluding those clinical psychologists that are registered under the Allied Health Professions Act. So it's a large body of professional people, and every year as the universities across Malaysia graduate psychology students, that number is growing. So it's a very dynamic community that you would be joining. Now that's now. Where did psychology come from? So I don't know whether you know, but psychology as a discipline actually has really ancient roots. It was established as a field of study about 2,500 years ago. And to look for those roots in psychology, we have to go back to the ancient Greeks and the ancient Romans. Here's one of the founders of psychology. This is Aristotle, who you may have heard of. He was a Greek philosopher, and he thought about many different aspects of the discipline. He thought about learning, he thought about memory, he thought about perception, and I just wanted to illustrate one of his ideas. This is taken from his book called On the Soul. And he proposed a 3-part structure for the souls, and he talks about plants, animals and humans having a soul. Plants, he said, just have a vegetative soul. They reproduce and they grow. Kind of that's about it. Animals have the same soul, but they have another soul, and he called that the sensitive soul. And that's about being able to move around in the world. You have intentional movement, intentional actions, and you can sense things. You can feel touch, you can feel heat, you can smell, you can see, you can hear. So animals have those senses as well. As humans, we have an additional sense. And he called this the rational soul. And this is about self-reflection, it's about thought, it's about concepts, it's about abstract thinking. And so at the time this was fairly radical stuff. Somebody is actually trying to think through what makes us uniquely human and to try and put it together in a theoretical framework. And this was Aristotle, who's credited for sort of formulating a lot of the basic foundations of psychology, even though those details of the theoretical models are still not kind of held to be true. We know a lot more since then. In those times, psychology wasn't a science, it was a philosophy. You see, Aristotle's described as a philosopher. And what that means is that he developed these theories just through rational thought. He thought these things through, but he didn't have any evidence. There's no evidence for these three souls. It's just a very clever person trying to rationalize and provide some explanations about life. Nowadays, we talk very much about psychology as a scientific discipline. So, what happened in that intervening period? Well, it's actually very difficult to measure thoughts and feelings and emotions. And that's why, as a discipline, it took, just over 2,000 years to really evolve into the discipline that we know today. William Wundt, he is recognized as the father of modern day psychology, and he was an experimental psychologist working in the last century. He came from Germany and he was based at the University of Leipzig. And he really turned psychology from a philosophy into a science by trying to start studying thoughts and emotions using experimental methodology. And in this picture on the right, you can see the first experimental laboratory for psychology. What these chaps are doing here, sat around the table, is this is really the first psychology experiment. And they were trying to assess the speed of thought by measuring how long it took an experimental subject to make a judgment. And what they're doing here is that they've got an old-fashioned clock with a pendulum. And Wundt managed to measure the difference in time between the actual movement of the pendulum and the movement of the pendulum as it was perceived by the participant. And he said that discrepancy in time between the actual and the perceived represents the speed of thought processes that the subject was going through. Now, this might seem quite mundane stuff to us nowadays, just looking at pendulums moving, but at the time it was fairly radical. This was the first time that anybody had tried to measure thoughts, which are things that are inside your head, which are sort of intangible in many ways. And so this changed psychology forever. There are many, many different disciplines of psychology. Wundt was an experimental psychologist working in perception. And we certainly do cover some of those topics in our undergraduate course. But what I wanted to show you in this rather busy slide is that actually psychology is a very varied discipline. We have some core fundamental sort of topics. We have cognitive psychology. This is how people think. We have social psychology, which describes how groups of people think and influence one another and behave. We have developmental psychology, which is about how children develop from baby to kind of small toddlers through to teenagers and adults. We look at education. We look at forensic psychology and quite a lot of business and organisational psychology courses as well. And not forgetting mental health and clinical psychology. These are all of the fundamentals that are seen to be core to developing your basic grounding as a psychology graduate. And the curriculum meets the requirements of the British Psychological Society, which defines the minimum standards for psychology training. You'll probably see running through all of the years are some research methods and experimental work as well. And we teach our students how to become researchers, how to become scientists by devising research hypotheses, designing studies to collect data, collecting and analysing that data, and then interpreting it with respect to the original hypothesis. This is some of the sort of fundamental skill of being a scientist, and you're taught how to become a scientist as you take your journey with us. I'm happy to take any questions on the curriculum, but the simple take-home message from this slide is that we cover all of the fundamentals with some options to specialise, and those specialised courses are taught by some of our academic staff who have PhDs in some of those topics. At Heriot-Watt we offer 2 undergraduate programmes for you to choose from. I just showed you the standard pure psychology. We also have psychology with management. So we're quite unusual in that as a psychology department, we sit within the School of Social Sciences next to the business school. So if you're interested in kind of how human behaviour influences organisations, how you can use your skills as a psychologist to help improve management processes, then maybe the BSc Psychology with Management is something that you'd be interested in. Broadly, it has the same core content as the pure psychology undergraduate degree, but it's more business oriented. And just to show you the differences, I've highlighted those different courses with the red asterisks. Year 1 is the same for everybody, and then in year 2 and 3 you will specialise with some business options. The advantage of being next to the Edinburgh Business School here on the Malaysia campus is that those courses starred in red are actually taught by experts in business. So some of our lecturers in the business school deliver those courses to our psychology students. So again, you're learning from the experts. And your research project is psychology, but it's more in a management sort of context. So that's our BSc Psychology with Management. Some of those elements, because we all meet the same standards, those British universities that teach psychology in Malaysia at least, just to flag up what's unique about our psychology programs at Heriot-Watt, we're actually, at the moment, we're still quite a small department. I think last year we had about 30 students in our first year intake, but we are growing, I'm pleased to say. Being small is good from a student perspective because at the moment certainly we have quite a low student-staff ratio. What that means for you as a student is that you get a more personalised learning experience. You're not sitting in a lecture room full of students. Now in the UK I've taught to lecture theatres of 400 students. Here you would have a class size of between 10 and 30. The lecturers know you by name. It feels much more like a family rather than being in a great big organisation. And so we know you as a student. We get to know your strengths. We help you develop your weaknesses. I mentioned that one. That's about being taught by business school experts. Heriot-Watt has a strong reputation, generally speaking, for exploring and applying solutions to real-world issues. Remember, I said it was a mechanics institute, and it's got a long track record of engineering. We take that philosophy forward into our psychology programs, and we're very focused on enabling you to think about how psychology is applied to real-world issues. And one of the ways we do that is at the end of year 2, you will have an opportunity to undertake an industrial placement, an internship for 3 months between June and August. At the end of year 2, before you come back for year 3, you'll go out into the workplace. And it gives you a real experience. We have students going to a wide range of different workplaces. I know one of our students is going to work with the Malaysia Psychology Association. One of my students is going to work with children at a sort of daycare centre. All kinds of different things. We also have people working in multinational corporations as well. That's a great opportunity for developing your soft skills. Remember, I talked about team working, interacting with others, communication, personal responsibility and leadership. Gives you that self-confidence as an individual once you leave us and go out into the big wide world. I mentioned on research projects. In the 3rd year, you'll deliver your own research project. That's worth 2 modules of credits, and you'll be supported in that project from one of our internationally recognised staff. And just to give you an example, our staff here in Malaysia have expertise in educational psychology, health psychology, cognitive psychology, as well as industrial and organisational psychology. So whatever you choose to do, there'll be somebody with the relevant skills to help you through your project. I talked about Go Global, but one thing to highlight is that although we've got 3 campuses, we are one global university. So your degree certificate says, this student got a psychology degree from Heriot-Watt University, full stop. You get a certificate from a British university. It doesn't say which campus you studied at, it's all the same. Okay. Mentioned transferable skills. I thought it might be helpful just to list down some of those skills that are central to being a psychologist. And we teach all of these things, particularly an emphasis on critical and analytical thinking. And I flag that up because employers, particularly in Malaysia, keep talking about how many of the graduates that they see don't come with critical thinking. And I think this is one of the hallmarks of a British education. It teaches you to not just take facts at face value, to analyse what you're being told, to make up your own opinion, and to then be able to argue to support your views. And with these transferable skills, the world is your oyster. So it's fine me just saying that we do all of this stuff and we teach you transferable skills, but how do we do it? Well, in the next 2 slides, I'd like to introduce you to some of the educational theory that underpins how we support this skills development. So this is a framework that characterises the British education system, and it was developed in the 1950s by an American educational psychologist called Benjamin Bloom. It's called Bloom's taxonomy, and it provides a common vocabulary for thinking about learning goals in higher education. So we take students on a journey. When students come to us from high school or secondary school, the skills that they've often been using are kind of at the bottom of the pyramid. It's about being given facts to remember and to understand some of those facts. That's sort of what O&A levels primarily teach you. But a university education is different in that we develop those thinking skills into being able to take that knowledge and then apply it, use it in new situations. solve problems in a slightly different way by applying what you've learned. We talk about analysing. We talk about comparing and contrasting different theories or different perspectives, examining and experimenting. I mentioned evaluating. That's about developing your own opinion. Often in psychology there's no right and wrong. It's not black and white. It's based on opinion, and you look at the body of evidence and you try and create arguments that support your opinion. That's what we mean by evaluating, and our courses enable you to develop those skills. And then at the top of the pyramid we've got creating, which is about developing or formulating. This is kind of at the top of the pyramid, where you're taking knowledge and you're trying to create some new insight. Not all of our students reach that in their final year project. That's kind of often where a PhD sits, but we do at least aspire to being able to give you opportunities to have insights into and create some new knowledge for yourself and for others. So the take-home message is that our teaching methods, inspired by the fundamentals of a British education, do take you far beyond your school experience. And it might be a little bit challenging, a little bit uncomfortable at times, but remember, in those small class sizes with your supportive lecturers, you'll be guided and supported all the way through that journey. And this is just my second slide to show you how we do it. So we have a range of different teaching methods. We use lectures, we have seminars, we have tutorials. Often a lecture will be followed by a tutorial that gives you a chance to have more interactive discussion with your lecturer and classmates about a topic. We have some practical hands-on classes, and we have quite a lot of web-based and computer-based work. In fact, we can run and design experiments to be computer-based, so we can still do that even though the laboratories might be closed. It's our aim to make your learning experience fun as well as informative, so that you enjoy your time with us. Now, I'm sure as a parent you must be often thinking, with a degree in psychology, what can I do? Or what can my son or my daughter then do afterwards? And most parents that I speak to think automatically about a clinical psychologist or a counsellor. And certainly as a psychologist you can work in a healthcare setting, and you can work with people who have mental health difficulties, anxiety, depression, or even more severe difficulties like schizophrenia and such, like personality disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder. That's the sort of bread and butter of a clinical psychologist. To do that, you would need further professional training at postgraduate level. And certainly a lot of psychologists do move into that area, but there are other areas of psychology as well. And these are just some of the psychology-related careers. I'm not going to go through every career one by one, but if you've got any questions about a particular career, you want to know a bit more about it, does it exist in Malaysia, how do you get there, then I'm happy to take any questions so that I can tailor my response. All of the careers on this slide are professional psychology careers, and they all need some sort of professional postgraduate education beyond an undergraduate degree. But certainly an undergraduate degree in psychology then opens the doors to all of these different career options.
Can I know more on the forensic psychology?
Forensic psychology. Okay, so I had a question for those of you who are virtual, I had a question from the floor just to explain forensic psychology. So I'm just going to go to my notes because I want to make sure that I give you the right description. Because I always get muddled up a little bit between forensic and criminal psychology. Let me just... here we go. So, a forensic psychologist will assist law enforcement professionals, the police force, in investigating and solving crimes. Criminal psychologists and forensic psychologists both work with the police force, but there's a difference between those two. So, you asked about a forensic psychologist. They will specialise in the aftermath of a crime. So a crime happens, and then they bring in the forensic psychologist, and they will try and evaluate a suspect's mental state. You know, or do they have any psychological disorders that might have led them to commit that crime? Can you do a personality evaluation on this suspect? Or they might counsel the victims and their families. So they're primarily working with the police to help resolve a crime after it's happened. A criminal psychologist will focus primarily on trying to determine a motive or create a profile of a perpetrator. So they'll think about maybe what motivated somebody or might motivate somebody to commit a crime. So they'll kind of be working more maybe before a crime has been committed or with serial offenders. So I hope that explains. Certainly a forensic psychologist needs further training. You wouldn't be able to become a forensic psychologist straight after an undergraduate degree. You'd need some further postgraduate training. I'm aware and I appreciate that not everybody listening to today's talk has a burning passion about being a professional psychologist, and that's fine actually, because as we saw at the start, then there are many psychologists in Malaysia, and they're not all professional psychologists. They're psychologists working in many different areas. So, you know, many of you may not want to go on to postgraduate training at master's or PhD level, and that's fine. It's not everybody's cup of tea. So I've just given you a flavour of some of the other sort of career pathways, because psychology graduates are uniquely poised to enter a wide variety of professions because they've got such really useful and flexible skills. So here are some of the main examples. I've grouped them into three. So the first sort of cluster is human resources. A careers advisor, a recruitment consultant, or a human resources executive. It's about kind of recruiting and hiring people and matching people with the right sort of skills for the right sort of jobs. Then in the second sort of batch, we've got more business focused, advertising and public relations and sales. And there are many different jobs in that area. These are just 4 examples. And then the final category are other kinds of helping careers that are not necessarily psychologists, but they draw on some of those psychological skills. A social work assistant, working in the community, or in an educational setting, working with children who have learning difficulties or other physical or emotional difficulties, and helping them to learn and develop and grow beyond the it's important, I think, just to get a sense of what some of our students say. And this is just a short testimonial by one of our recent graduates who was in the class of 2018. And so you can read what she has to say about studying psychology with us. We have quite a vibrant community amongst our psychology students. We launched the Psychology Society in 2016, and all of our students registered in psychology are members of the Psychological Society. They create a very welcoming community. They organise social events, they organise educational events, and they support other students to enhance student learning. Here are just some of the pictures of activities that they've done, and even the last year while we've been in lockdown, our students enabled us to run our Global Happiness Forum last month in March, and that was attended by more than 300 people across the world celebrating International Day of Happiness. If you've got burning passion to develop some of your leadership skills, then you've got a chance to volunteer for the committee. We've got roles like president, vice president, secretary, etc. So again, you get a chance to take on some of those roles and develop some really useful transferable skills. And so I've given you a quick whistle-stop tour through Heriot-Watt, through our psychology programs, and now I'm happy to take any questions. But if not, thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to welcoming you to Heriot-Watt University, Malaysia. Thank you. So Okay, so somebody on the chat who's been watching is asking, I didn't do very well in biology. Do I need to be good at this subject to study psychology? So the simple answer is it can help for some of the subjects, but it's not essential. So as I explained, psychology is a very diverse subject. I like biology. And so when I did psychology, I chose some of those options that played to my strengths. Things like neuropsychology. In fact, my PhD was on neuropsychology, kind of studying the brain and how the brain kind of supports all of those complex cognitive activities. But there are many, many more branches of psychology that don't rely on biological knowledge. And it's certainly true that any of the courses that we offer on things like consciousness or neuropsychology, even if you've never done biology before, we give you enough of the basics about neural processing, about the central nervous system, about sensory coding, that you can pick up. You can pick it up. So you don't need to be good at that subject, study psychology. Are there any other questions? One more. What can I do with a psychology degree in the business line? So with our psychology in management, there are lots of different kinds of organisational psychology roles. Some of the ones that I didn't talk about but were on my slide from the psychology related careers are things like a consumer psychologist. So understanding trends in consumer behaviour, trying to predict the markets. You know, certainly over the last year we've seen a move from buying things in the high street to buying things online. People's purchasing behaviours have changed. Consumer psychologists work with organisations to look at those kind of questions. We have industrial and organisational psychologists, and they work with organisations to help improve the effectiveness and the efficiency of the organisation as a whole. So they might analyse processes. They might do things like lean management, looking at matching tasks with skill sets of the workforce, looking at complex process chains where things need to be passed from one person to another. And I've certainly, in my experience as a psychologist, given quite a lot of continuing professional development training to organisations. Like a couple of weeks ago it was the JPA here in Putrajaya, talking to them about project management, about setting smart objectives, about staff development and staff management. And so those are all sort of careers that are very well tailored to the skills of a psychologist, but addressing business-related issues. So I think that's all the questions from the chat. Are there any other questions from the room? No? Okay. Thank you very much for your attention.
Hi, welcome. My name is Mr. Song King Yu, and I'm here to present to you today about our Malaysian Foundation Program. And today, the title of my talk is Reimagining Learning with our Foundation Program. So, I'm going to start. That's just a slide about me. So I'm an Assistant Professor Song, and I'm from the Foundation in Science program. And you can contact me at k.song@hw.ac.uk. So what are we going to cover today? So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our Heriot-Watt University. So I'm going to give you an introduction to Heriot-Watt University. I'm also going to talk to you a little bit about what it is like to journey with us in the foundation program. So it's called A Journey Through Our Malaysian Foundation Program. And then, of course, I'm going to talk a little bit about our responsive blended learning, our strategy with regards to how we do our teaching and learning in the midst of COVID-19, as well as moving towards the future. And lastly, of course, we're going to specifically talk about how we reimagine learning in our foundation program. Okay, so I hope everyone is ready, and let's move on. So an introduction to Heriot-Watt University. So I've got 3 questions for you. The first question is, when was Heriot-Watt founded? Which degrees from Heriot-Watt University are top ranked in the United Kingdom? And when was Heriot-Watt University Malaysia opened? So as I talk about this, I hope you should be able to answer these questions, okay, as we go along, giving you an introduction to Heriot-Watt University. So Heriot-Watt University is, obviously you know it's in the United Kingdom, but specifically it's in Scotland. There are actually 3 campuses, in the United Kingdom, okay. But we were founded in 1821 as the world's first mechanics institute. So we didn't start as a university; we started as an institute. And from then onwards, okay, we got promoted to university status and so forth, all right? So it has a rich heritage, okay, and it has built a good reputation along the way for having been almost 200 years old, okay? So I think this year we are celebrating our 200 years old anniversary. So the next thing, I think, so the first answer to the first question would be we were founded in 1821. Next slide. So as mentioned earlier, Heriot-Watt University is a UK university, but it also has campuses in Dubai and Malaysia. So what are some of the courses or programs that we are well known for? So this would be the answer to the second question. So we are well known for programs like accounting and finance, management, engineering, marketing, psychology, and actuarial science, right? Next slide. The third slide would give you the answer to the third question, which was when was Heriot-Watt University Malaysia, so referring to the Malaysian campus, when was it opened? So here, just a short and quick brief. So Heriot-Watt University Malaysia was established in 2012 and launched in 2013, its first batch of programs. And then in September 2014 is when we opened our campus. So that is the answer to the third question. All right. And as of today, we have approximately 2,300 students with about 230 staff. All right. And as you know, Heriot-Watt University Malaysia is located in Putrajaya, which is a really nice and beautiful garden city. So if you haven't been to Putrajaya before, you should come and have a look, right? Great. So the next thing I would like to talk about with regards to Heriot-Watt University is our attention and focus to the positive education philosophy. So in this philosophy of positive education, what we really want our students to, or parents as well, to understand is that we look at education from a holistic point of view, and that our students should understand that they have a purpose in life, and that surrounding that purpose is that they should be able to have good academic achievements as well as professional skills, and of course build their character, values, and soft skills. Along with that, their ability to manage their well-being. So this surrounds their purpose and helps hold their purpose in place. Academic achievement, soft skills, professional skills, well-being, as well as character and values. This then allows them to have impact across the different areas of their lives. That could be environmental, social, health, political, technological, scientific, economic, or even cultural impact. So basically, we hope that you understand that what we hope to convey or to communicate to our students and to their parents is that that positive education is a new perspective or a different look at what education should be like. And what we really want to achieve is to help students flourish and be successful as human beings. Okay? Let's move on. Now, these are some interesting information that might be helpful to you. Again, one of our taglines or quotes that we like to say is study and see the world, okay? And why is that? Is simply because, as I mentioned earlier, Heriot-Watt University is truly an international university. Not just because we say so, but we literally have 5 campuses at different geographical locations. And of course, 3 of them is in the UK, and then 1 is in Dubai, and 1 is in Malaysia. So that makes us a truly international university, okay? And that also gives us or gives our students some positive benefits. That simply means that students are able to transfer. And not just transfer, they can have a guaranteed transfer. So that's one positive thing. Another positive thing, because all the campuses are linked, are one basically, as Heriot-Watt University, there is also a tuition fee waiver. Okay. For example, when a student from Malaysia in their first year of undergraduate studies decides to transfer to UK or to Dubai in their second year of study, okay, they have a tuition waiver of 20%. Okay. The third benefit is that you can choose to go to any of the other campuses in UK or Dubai for as little as 1 semester, or if you would like, you can take more than 1 semester or spend 2 or 3 semesters in the campus of your choice. You could even graduate at the campus of your choice. Okay? So the whole point is to encourage our students to have a global exposure and a global experience. Okay, it's good for you to understand that when you go to a different campus, you'll experience different cultures, different mindsets, different perspectives, and that in itself, that experience in itself, okay, will benefit you, okay, and will contribute to you growing and learning. Okay, so let's move on. So as I said earlier, okay, we talked about the 3 campuses in UK and the 1 campus in Dubai and 1 campus in Malaysia. So the 3 campuses in UK, they are in Edinburgh, Orkney, and the Scottish borders, okay, which is in Scotland. The campus in Dubai, okay, is in the United Arab Emirates, if I pronounce that correctly. And of course, the one in Malaysia is in Putrajaya. And each campus would have its own unique culture, its own unique features as well. So I like to use the term glocal, which is a combination of global and local, okay? And yeah, so although we are one university as Heriot-Watt University, but we also have a distinctly local flavor as well. And if you come to Malaysia, or if you are in the Malaysia campus, you will know that Malaysians generally like food. And although I know this month is fasting month or the Ramadan period, but of course, it's also really a great place, okay? There's sunshine all year round and rain, of course, as well. And those are the only 2 seasons that we experience throughout the year. And there's lots of great places to visit within the Southeast Asia area. Okay, so that's my introduction to Heriot-Watt University. What I would like to talk to you about next is about our foundation program. So I'll just brief you through or take you through a journey of what it is like to be in our foundation program. So before I start, there is a little message from our principal, Richard, okay? And I hope you'll find this message inspiring because it inspires me.
What is a great education all about? It's about pursuing your dreams and having a positive impact on the world. It's about socializing and growing emotionally and professionally. It's about academic excellence and building character. It's about transforming challenges into opportunities. It's about lasting friendships and lifelong learning. This is what we do at Heriot-Watt University. We've done it in Edinburgh and across Scotland. We've done it in Dubai and across the Middle East. We've done it in Putrajaya and across Malaysia. And now we're doing it online across the globe. We're using the latest technology and the latest educational design to take you on a journey of discovery, to foster a community and bring you closer together, to connect you with leading academics to develop new skills. We are preparing you for the future of work. The world is changing and you will be ready. Experience it at Heriot-Watt University. Experience a foundation program like no other. This is Professor Richard Williams, Principal and Vice-Chancellor at Heriot-Watt University.
So thank you, Professor Richard Williams, for that inspiring message. So some of you may have actually seen this advert. If you check our website, okay, our Heriot University website, you may have seen this. And this has been up to tell you that we have some some interesting new features for our foundation program, which is meant to support and help the new incoming students or the new intake in April. Okay, so let me just go through some of these features for you. So flexible entry, okay, when we talk about flexible entry, we are referring to that you can be offered a place in our foundation program using your forecast results, of course, pending your actual results. We do understand that this year that the SPM has been conducted late, and of course the results will be out later. So again, if you want to enter Heriot-Watt University in our foundation program, you can do so using your forecast results. The second one says flexible study mode. Okay, so when we talk about flexible study mode, we are actually referring to our responsive blended learning, which will give you a choice of choosing between a on-campus study mode or an online study mode. Okay, yep. So on campus obviously means you will be on campus. Okay, online means you can actually do the entire program from home. Okay, as long as you have a good and reliable internet connection. All right. Flexible fee payment. Okay, we've got some fee payment options that will allow you, to provide you with some assistance. I think, for example, I think you can pay the foundation fees across 6 installments. Of course, you can contact our education consultants, okay, or our we should be able to tell you what are some of those payment options are. Okay. Next would be the flexible commencement. Flexible commencement refers to the various intakes that we have. So for this year, you can decide to commence either in April, July, or September. So the choice is yours. Okay, again, pending your SPM or your O-levels results. Flexible restart. So this one's an interesting one. For those of you who intend to join us in April, you are given the option to have a flexible restart, meaning that should you feel that you are not confident in progressing towards the next semester, you may restart in the first semester for either the July or the September intake. All right? So again, that is to support you, and we understand that there may be some gaps in your learning from high school. So we do want to give you the freedom and the leeway for you to start at a later date, so that you can actually accommodate yourself to university life. Flexible location of study. We have our Go Global program. This is catered to the undergraduate studies, okay? And of course, once you've completed your foundation program with us and you have decided on a undergraduate degree program to enter, you have this option for you to choose to study in any of our campuses, all right? So you can find out more about that as well. It is called the Go Global program. And of course, we have our Fit for the Future, or in short, we just call it Fit for Future, or FFF, okay? That program is a part of our positive education approach, okay, where we try to introduce high school students to the idea of positive education, and of course, how well-being, academic skills, soft skills, values, characters, professional skills, all these make an important part of making you a successful person, all right? Of course, that is with the understanding that you know that you have a purpose as well. So if you would like to know more about these flexible options, there's this link here, okay, at our website, okay, and this will lead you to a document, okay, that tells you or gives you the information about these options, right? So feel free to check out our Heriot-Watt University website. So let's go back to our foundation program and not just the various options. So why join our foundation program? Our foundation program is or was created or designed for basically to accommodate two purposes. The first purpose is to provide a learning experience, okay, to support students' university life. So we understand that, of course, when you are in high school, you have a certain culture and you may have a certain lifestyle as a high school student. But then, of course, this is significantly different when you are at university. The experience at university is different. So what we do in the foundation level is, of course, we help you to transform or we help you to progress from high school to university. So that, and we do that by, of course, helping you by creating an environment, okay, and an experience where you learn about what it is like, okay, to study in university. So I guess the key word here would be to transition, okay, to help you transition. The next part or the next purpose is to enable our students, okay, to progress to the Heriot-Watt University undergraduate degree programs. So obviously that is the purpose of all what we call foundation programs, because they are linked to the university that they are part of, right? So, and because we are part of Heriot-Watt University, what will happen is, of course, what I want to say is, I guess, is that the not just the link, but the transition itself will be a smooth transition. Once you enroll with us as a foundation program, there is no further requirement to apply further, you know, for other things, you know, to join the undergraduate program. Everything is done within the university so that you can progress smoothly. Of course, with the expectation that you meet the minimum requirements for the undergraduate degree program of your choice. Okay. So that's just a little picture, you know, SPM, high school, and then foundation, which is your transition part, and then your undergraduate, which is the UG part, all right? Just to remind everyone that we play a transitional role, okay, and we want to help support you, okay? So how do we do that? How do we give you the experience, and how do we ensure that you have a smooth transition towards your undergraduate degree program? What do? First of all, we ensure that you are competent in your learning and study skills, okay, as well as your literacy. Literacy just means your reading, writing, you know. So we want to develop competence in your literacy and study skills, okay, and this is done by you taking a course called Academic English and Study Skills, okay. So the things that you do would range from even academic writing to teamwork to communication to referencing. So different skills that are required and that will be very useful for you while you are attending university. So it's good that you gain them before you are in a degree program. The next thing that we would do is, of course, we say that we would prepare you for undergraduate studies, and to do that, we would, of course, have you take courses or subjects that are relevant to the root of your study. So, for example, if you want to study actual science, then you can choose certain subjects that would help you to move towards studying actual science in the undergraduate level. Okay? So in the Malaysia Foundation, we have 3 programs, okay? The first program is our Fit for Future program, okay, which we call FFF. We also have our Foundation in Business program. which we usually call FIB, and we also have our Foundation in Science program, which we usually call FIS. So I'm going to give you an introduction to all three programs. For the first program, I've got introduction for the Fit for Future program from our provost, okay, Professor Mushtaq. So I'll just leave it to him to talk about the program. Oops. Let me just...
Dear students, colleagues, and family members, this time is very special. It is very challenging, and I believe all of us, all of you, are also a special group of people. I was positively surprised and excited by the work that our students have done. It's an amazing thing that we could all do this with such a short time and also doing it using technology. All that work that you've done will get you ready, will get you fit for the future. One thing that we are sure of, this crisis is going to end. And when that happens, we will need leaders to lead the economic recovery. And you will be among the leaders who will get our communities, our nations, and the entire world to move into the economic recovery and also be a better place.
The Fit for Future curriculum has embedded the learnings of how to develop a successful mindset, rewiring our brain with positive thoughts, language and actions, building emotional intelligence through our self-awareness and managing and controlling emotions, and setting smart goals for career learning. I strongly believe that these are the testament to how successful the program has been in achieving our desired outcomes.
What I've learned so far in this online learning platform is that communication within your group is the key to success, and teamwork makes the dream work.
By joining this program online, I have no regrets at all, as this program was packed with interesting activities and games. Some of them even challenged me to think who I really are.
I think the biggest highlight in this program is the emotional intelligence activity. As what Professor Mushtaq Al-Atabi had commented, emotional intelligence is a cornerstone of leadership and success. I had fun participating in this Fit for Future program.
Fit for Future program, it's totally different. I really enjoyed the gratitude activity. It makes me feel grateful for people around me. It was a really warm experience for me. So I think that joining the Fit for Future program is definitely an amazing experience for me.
I would like to thank all the students. I would like to thank all their parents and their families for their support. And I also would like to thank the tireless work that our staff have done to put this together. I'm really excited and I'm very happy to be here, and I'm proud of everyone who has done this great work.
So you can see the Fit for Future program is a take, or is a representation of our positive education at the foundation level. And of course, at the undergraduate level, we have the Empower program as well, which of course, when you go to the undergraduate level, you will definitely be able to experience it. So what we really want to encourage you is, of course, we have integrated the Fit for Future program with your orientation as well. So that way, you not just get to know the campus, but you also get an understanding of what positive education is all about. So the first program was mentioned, which was Fit for Future. The other two programs is the Foundation in Science program and the Foundation in Business program. So in each of these programs, there are 3 different routes, okay? The first one is the engineering science route. The second one stands for actual science and statistical data science route. And the third one is the psychology route. For the foundation in business, we also have 3 routes, okay? The first one is the business route. Second one is the actual science or statistical data science route, okay? And of course, the third one is the psychology route. So what would you expect to experience when you are in the foundation programs, okay? Referring to the foundation in science and the foundation in business programs, you will find that, okay, you will be attending classes for 3 semesters, okay? And each semester is about 14 weeks. And in each semester, you will contribute a certain percentage to your foundation results. So as you can see here, for semester 1 contributes 20% to your foundation results. Semester 2 contributes 40% to your foundation results. And semester 3 contributes another 40% to your foundation results. Of course, 20 plus 40 plus 40 gives you 100%. Okay? And of course, this, when we say contribute, we are referring to your grades and to your assessments, okay? And how do we assess you? We basically assess you in terms of coursework and exams. So in every semester, you will have coursework and exams, okay? And depending on which program you are enrolled in, if you are enrolled in Foundation in Science, in general, coursework will be contributing 40% to your assessments, and exams will contribute 60%. Where else for Foundation in Business, it is usually 50% coursework and 50% exams. So at the end of 3 semesters, you will obtain an award, or you will be given an award or a qualification for completion of your program, and that is a Certificate of Higher Education Award. Now, what I would like to highlight to you is that this award is unique in a sense that this award is recognized in the United Kingdom. So that would mean that you could actually use that certificate to apply to a university in the UK. So that's something good and positive about our award. Okay, so I think that would sum up the foundation program. And of course, once you graduate from your foundation program and you get your certificate and you meet the minimum requirement, okay, to progress, then what are some of the undergraduate pathways that are available, okay, to you as a student? These are some of the pathways, okay, that you can choose from. Okay, accounting and finance, civil engineering, actual science and statistics, construction project management and quantity surveying, business management, electrical and electronic engineering, chemical engineering, mechanical engineering, psychology, okay? And these are just the different schools, okay, or the different courses in general. If you go to our website, you should be able to see in greater detail what are the actual degrees that will be awarded, okay, for the different programs. Okay, so having talked about our foundation program, let's move on and have a look at the responsive blended learning, okay? So what is responsive blended learning, or I would say, why have a responsive blended learning concept or strategy? So responsive blended learning came about obviously because of the need to have it due to COVID-19, due to the pandemic. And why we did it was because, first of all, we wanted to alleviate disruptions, or we wanted to allow our students to continue their studies, okay, without having it being disrupted, okay, because of COVID-19. So obviously, we were under conditional movement order, okay, and that may have affected your studies, okay, if you couldn't be in campus or to be in lectures and do your tutorials. And because of that, we wanted to ensure that all our students could continue with their studies and complete their studies and obtain their degrees on time. The second one was, of course, to give peace of mind to families. Okay, so of course, you could imagine, families or parents having invested money, into the studies of their children, and they would be worried, if whether their children could actually graduate. Okay, and so to ensure that they could continue with their studies and to graduate on time, that's what we wanted to do with our responsive blended learning. And how did we practice this? We did it by, of course, combining online and face-to-face learning modes, which I'll talk to you a little bit as we go along. So, when we talk about online and face-to-face learning modes, we both would start off with a virtual learning environment. Okay, so in our virtual learning environment, okay, all students will have access to the course resources. Course resources would refer to, for example, notes or lectures which have been recorded, for example, or even your tutorial questions or tutorial discussions or assessments. All these resources will be available on what we call the virtual learning environment. This is also the place where you can engage your course group. In other words, students can engage with other students, okay, over discussion. They can post things and then they can respond and reply to things that were posted. They can encourage one another. They can interact as well, but of course in a online mode fashion. They learn through exploration, discovery, and activities. So in the virtual learning environment, okay, they are given activities to try out or questions to answer or to attempt. Okay, so they are asked to research on certain topics, to find out about certain topics. They are asked to do certain things, to experiment, and so forth. So this allows them the opportunity to discover, to explore, and to learn from different activities. So with this as the background, okay, or the foundation, we then have either the on-campus or the online activities. So depending on your mode or the choice of your mode. So for those who choose on-campus activities, okay, they would have the teaching done live, okay, on campus in a lecture theatre or in a lecture hall or in a room. They will be able to access the labs, okay, the laboratories, and to use the labs, okay, equipment, okay, to conduct experiments, okay. They can access campus-based resources and support. For example, student services, library resources, campus services, IT services, all these which are available on campus. So those are some of the things that they could do on campus. But what about online activities? For those who choose the online mode, they are not at a disadvantage. So they too can have access to live teaching sessions as well. We have webinars, okay? We have workshops done live online, okay? Even tutorials done online. So they, the only difference is that they are in their room at home, okay? But they would still be able to see their lecturer and hear their lecturer or their instructor. They can still do their practical sessions, but of course, unfortunately, not with the equipment from the laboratory. But practical sessions are done in a unique way using various different tools, for example, simulations. Students do get hands-on experience by actually using everyday tools to conduct their experiments. And this is really, I think it's a positive thing because it allows our students to learn to be resourceful and to think out of the box. Okay, beyond what you see in the lab, there are many things that you could use to conduct an experiment. Okay. And of course, they also have access to online-based resources and support, and that is also that too they can access student services online. They can contact student services, they can send an email, they can ask a question, they can get an answer. We have our Discovery, which is our online academic resource search tool. Okay, so in other words, they can search for online journals, e-books. So again, they are not at a disadvantage. If they want to speak to someone from IT services, they can email someone from IT services and get a reply. So in that sense, okay, they also have the support that they need to continue with their studies without any disruption. So that was the end of our responsive blended learning. And the final part of my presentation has to do with reimagining our foundation program, or what the title was Reimagine Learning with our foundation program. So here, to reimagine learning meant that we had to also reimagine our foundation program. Okay, so what are some of the things that we have had to reimagine and to change, okay, and to adapt to ensure that our students could also continue with their studies without having been disrupted, okay? So the first one is in terms of teaching and learning, or what we call pedagogy. We have changed the way we are doing teaching and learning, okay, by focusing on a challenge-based learning approach, okay, that is framed around a multidisciplinary global goal or situation. So here, I'll give you an example. We use an imaginary city called Urbiston, okay, and we tell our students that, you know, there are various aspects of Urbiston that the students will need to contribute to ensure that Urbiston becomes a smart city. Okay, and so in each course that they take, whether it's physics, whether it's chemistry, or whether it's mathematics or academic business, you know, or accounting, it is all related to creating a smart city in Urbiston. So that is what we mean by a challenge-based learning approach framed around a multidisciplinary global goal. Okay? Next, technology. We use technology to produce something called learning analytics, okay, that monitors academic progress while enabling our students to have some personalized learning support. So the learning analytics basically provides us with data on our students and how they are approaching their studies online. So for example here, you could see that you could see that the number of hours that are being spent, okay, by a student, and also how much they have progressed throughout the course. So for example, if a student is doing well, they could have 80% progression throughout the course. And let's say if a student is not doing so well, if they are having 40% progression, that would allow us to send them a message and or send them a reminder and to encourage them to, hey, you know, you need to come back and do a little bit more studying to ensure that you are on track, okay? So that helps us to monitor our students' learning progress. Next is the delivery mode, okay? So here it says that the delivery mode, okay, in terms of learning activities, okay, that support the students, okay, and of course collaborative learning. This will of course give us, allow us to engage and to give them an immersive learning experience. So students are not just reading from the virtual learning environment, okay? They post things, okay? They can respond to other students, okay? They can work in groups, okay? And they do so as well. They can access live webinars, and in the live webinars, they can also be grouped. They can have discussions, okay? And they are engaging one another as well as the instructor as well, okay? So, and the activities that they do, okay, they can work alone or they can work as a group, you know. Yeah, so that gives them that immersive approach, okay, where they can collaborate with one another. So this is just an example, okay, of an activity. This is a simple example, of course. The activity was how does physics impact technology such as a motion detector. So here students can post their answers, okay, and then they can read other students' posts, okay. They can comment on other students' posts. They can even like other students' posts, okay. So then, of course, that allows students to interact amongst each other. And even the instructor can post, and the instructor can like as well, and the instructor can comment as well. Lastly, the fourth thing that is unique in our new approach would be that our orientation, as I mentioned earlier, we have integrated our Fit for Future program into the orientation. So during orientation week, okay, you will not only get to know about Heriot-Watt University, Heriot-Watt University facilities, resources. You will also learn about emotional intelligence. You know, you will also learn about things like how to create a SMART goal and various other things. So here you can see that I put examples of some of the things that they will experience during orientation. Things like life at Heriot-Watt University, SMART goals, emotional intelligence, planning for your future, and lots more throughout that orientation week. So we ensure that, you know, that they are going to transition well from high school to foundation as well, just to make sure that they are okay and that they feel comfortable and that they are ready to move on and to do their best in their foundation program. So it appears like there are some significant changes to the foundation program compared to previously, but what hasn't changed? Okay, what has remained the same is that the first one is that the curriculum and the structure remains the same. We are still teaching the same things, okay, and you still have to attend 3 semesters, okay. You still have to do well for your assessments. Your assessments still contribute the same percentage as before, okay? So that doesn't change. The second one, your qualification. So the certificate of higher education is still going to be awarded to you, and you will, well, it still will be recognized in the UK. So if you want to use it, okay, in the UK, of course. And the third one is that your progression pathways remain the same. So as long as you meet minimum requirements, you can seamlessly progress to the undergraduate program of your choice in Heriot-Watt University. Okay? So, yeah, I hope that gives you a peace of mind and relief, okay, if you are worried if there are too many changes. All right? I guess the final message, okay, as you may have heard in the beginning, when Professor Richard Williams introduced the foundation program in the beginning, at the end of his presentation, you would have seen something that said, "Be future made." And I too would like to end my presentation and to remind everyone that at Heriot-Watt University, we look forward to you to be future made. So if you've got any questions, feel free to write them out. I think there's a link somewhere for you to type out those questions, and then we'll have a look at what some of those questions are. If you just give us a minute. Sorry. Yeah, put it hands. All right, so I've got two questions. Thank you for the question. So the first question from Anonymous, okay. So can I still study foundation in science if I majored in the art stream in secondary school? Generally, that is not usually recommended if you have, the reason is because you need to have certain prerequisites to enter foundation in science. Specifically subjects related to science like chemistry, mathematics, physics. However, having said that, I have had a student who did not do physics before in high school, but attended our foundation program. So if you are serious about this, I would suggest you get in contact with our head of program, Miss Jasmine Loh, okay? I'm sure you can find her email in our Heriot-Watt University Malaysia website, okay? Look for foundation program, or just contact our university, and hopefully we can pass you her contact. And I think if you can discuss with her, and if you're serious about it, yeah, she can definitely look into it, all right? I hope I've answered your question. Next question. Which foundation program should I choose if I want to study quantity surveying? So for quantity surveying, you can choose either foundation in business or foundation in science. Okay, so then I would advise you, depending on your high school background, did you do foundation, did you do arts stream or science stream? If you did art stream, then obviously you don't have much of a choice but to join foundation in business. That will still allow you to go into doing quantity surveying. However, if you did science stream in high school, you do have an option to choose between foundation in business or foundation in science. So in this case, you would have to decide whether you want to continue with foundation in science, meaning that you will continue with science subjects like physics, chemistry, maths, or you would like to explore something different in terms of subjects, okay, which are in foundation in business like accounting, economics, what else? I can't remember, okay? So you will have to decide what is best for you. In general, I would suggest do something which you can perform well in, okay? That would be a good advice, okay? And that you feel comfortable doing. All right, I hope I've answered your question. Any other questions? Oh, there's one here. There's a new one just came in. Are the online classes recorded? Yes, the online classes are recorded. So we call it online sessions, I guess, yeah. So usually it's recorded, and then students are given the link, okay? Then whenever students want to review or to go through the session again, they can click on it. Having said that, usually we do also take attendance, that we record the attendance of the students in the live sessions as well, just to ensure that the students are attending the live sessions, okay? Otherwise, students may just disappear, and then they think that it's okay to just click on the link and just watch the recording, okay? So yeah, the reason why we want to have the live sessions and we want students to be in the live session is because of the engagement, okay? So that we want to know whether the students are doing okay or not as well. And it's a good time for the lecturer and the students to work together to build their learning. I hope I've answered your question. Oh, it's another one. Okay, more are coming in. Thank you. Next question. Can students study foundation in business? Okay, can a student studying foundation in business proceed to do science degree and vice versa? This is generally a no. So I'll give you a very clear example. If you did, so let's say you are in high school and you did science, okay, and then you decided I want to do foundation in business, okay, and then after you've completed foundation in business, you want to do engineering, chemical engineering, for example. You will not be able to because there is a requirement for the chemical engineering program, which requires you to take science subjects, okay? So in this case, I would generally counsel a student to take the foundation in science, specifically the engineering science route. I hope I've answered your question, okay? Oh, more. I think that's the same question. Are the phased learning classes be recorded? I think this question refers to the face-to-face classes that I think it's referring to the on-campus. The on-campus at the moment is not recorded. So at this point in time, because we are still in MCO, majority of the classes have been reverted to online. So yeah, because it's dangerous, okay? As you are aware, as of this moment, the infectivity rate is still above 1, which means it's still very dangerous. And the whole point of MCO, movement control order, is actually to reduce the infectivity rate to below 1. So at this point in time, no, we do not have face-to-face lectures until when the government allows us to. And when we do have that, we will have face-to-face. So I'll be in a lecture hall, and you'll be, if you've chosen the face-to-face mode, you'll be sitting there and you'll be taking notes, hopefully. But usually we don't record the face-to-face sessions. I hope I understood your question and answered it. Okay, I think that was the last question. Thank you very much, okay, for your interest and your time. That's it from me, I guess. Bye.